I wish all of our problems were as easily as solved as the problem of how to create money. In fact, the money creation problem is so simple that everyone pretty much does it. Even babies or young children can create money. Money is the most um, easily solved problem that I think we can ever conceive. Um, the problem that we face is that we don't realize what we're doing, and we're all going around creating money all over the place, and we don't even realize it. And a lot of this is because we don't understand what money is. We confuse money with currency. Money's not currency. It probably should be. They should be synonymous, but they're not. Not the way that we deal with the concepts. Currency has come to mean money composed of assets. Or currency is asset-based means of exchange. It's an asset, something produced by humans that is used as a kind of universal bartering uh, item. Gold is the ultimate money or currency because gold is uh, basically fungible. Gold, you trade it for anything. It can be exchanged for anything. Gold is universally valued, and it is infinitely divisible. So it's the perfect asset to barter with. And this is all we do when we buy goods and services using currency. We engage in barter. But the means of exchange isn't infinitely divisible and infinitely quantified uh, barter item. So we can take 20 units of value um, represented by gold and use it to buy whatever we, anything that's worth 20 units of value in the economy. So when currency as a form of money is basically uh, a kind of barter. Um, Money as currency or assets used as money or as currency is a way to digitalize the economy or the barter system. We can create units of value in infinitely small amounts and increase it by infinitely small increments. Um, and this gives us some insight into what money actually is. And money is really just a means of measuring value. When we go for a drive, we're measuring distance in kilometers or miles. When we measure out yard goods, we're measuring in terms of feet and yards. And when we weigh something, we're measuring things in terms of their kilograms or pounds. So these systems of weights and measures digitalizes various qualities. And each unit of weight is precisely calibrated because it's provided by a scale, and gold is the same thing. The value of a horse is precisely calibrated in terms of gold coins, or units of value in terms of gold. But the problem is, and I'm not too sure why this hasn't been more widely recognized, but it has not seemed to be. But the problem is that gold is an asset. It's a barter item. Gold is valuable in and of itself. So now I can go theoretically with a bag of gold and go and buy a bag of gold. It doesn't make sense, but it's, in market terms, that's exactly what could be done, because gold is not only a monetary unit, it's a commodity, market commodity. So we may need gold to make ornaments, but we need gold to be a means of exchange, which means that gold has value twice over. It's got value as a commodity, and it's got value as a currency. And so not only can we buy and sell gold, we can also hoard gold, and in terms of its value as a commodity, it increases in value because it's needed as a currency. So the demand for currency impacts the demand for gold as a commodity. And this is why gold tends to be hoarded. When it's supposed to be being used for a currency, it gets hoarded. And so the supply of currency becomes depleted, which only causes the value of gold as a commodity to even increase even more, perhaps exponentially. In physical terms, it would be akin to using bubble gum as a tape measure. How would you know what a foot is if you're using bubble gum to measure out a foot? It doesn't hold. There's no fixed unit of measure. So that's the problem with using assets as currency, and this goes for bank money as well, because bank credit is owned by the banks, and even fiat money is controlled by the government. And we won't go into the use of asset as money anymore. I think you've probably grasped the problem. So let's look at what money actually is. Money is a unit of value, the same way kilograms is a unit of weight, and miles is a unit of distance. So when we create value, we create money. And if we don't have a actual correlate of money, we may not have a working speedometer in the car, but that doesn't mean the car is not traveling kilometers. We're creating travel units regardless of whether we have a speedometer or not. And when we measure out yard goods, we may not have a yard stick or a tape measure, but we're still measuring out yard goods, and it's still whatever measure it is. So when we're creating value, we're creating units of value. It can't not happen. Anybody that creates value is creating money, because money is simply a unit of value. And the ancients knew this because they could quite easily engage in barter using units of value, and they may not even have had money, but they knew what the value was, and so they had credits and debits, and whatever they called these units, they knew what the unit was, and they knew what value they had traded or created. When anybody makes value, when anybody creates value, they create money. They create money, so they should be paid. And it's ridiculous that people are creating value and not getting paid because they're creating money. And if they're creating money, they should get the money what they're creating. But because we don't have a proper monetary system, we're using these bogus, fictitious things called currency. People aren't getting paid for what they do, and so people are creating money all over the place, and they're not getting paid. So then they can't engage the market. So we're dampening market activity by being so dishonest with people, by not paying them for what they do. So the question that remains to be resolved is, how does a Etherton small group uh, create money? Well, it doesn't create money, it simply recognizes that money has been created. So when we are in a small group and we create value for the group issues credit to us. And when we consume something, when we get something from from the group, we're debited. We pay some of the money we get, the credits we get, to the group. So the Etherton small group becomes a market. It becomes an accounting device, and we work for it in the sense that when we create value, it's recognized by the group, and the group responds by granting us credits. And when we consume, we recognize that we have taken value from the group, and we reimburse the group with credits, or for us it's a debit of our account and a credit to the account of the group, of the Etherton exchange or Etherton small group. And so it's not a matter of creating money. Anybody can create money. The smallest child, as I say, can create money. What is important is that we start recognizing the money, the value that's being created, and respond by recognizing that value has been created by giving the creator of the value currency to use, credits, in other words. And that's all it takes to create a very active and dynamic economy with full employment, and it eliminates debt. There's no need for taxation. There's no need for inflation, no pollution. Once we start paying people for the value they create, once we start giving the money to those who have created the money, being accountable for the wealth that people are creating, then we aren't short of money because we're being honest. We're being ethical, in other words. And that's the whole bottom line. Babylon is not ethical. It doesn't pay people for the wealth they create, for the value they create. They've created a fictitious form of money to defraud everyone. And Etherton pays people for what they do.